Welcome back to the Embodiment and Accountability Podcast. Today is episode 21, and we're going to be talking about transformation through movement with my beautiful guest and friend, Erin Anderson. Hi, how are you?
I'm good and I'm so happy. Thank you for having me.
Yay, I'm so excited. Thank you for accepting to be on the other side of the interview. So I would like to invite you to maybe talk a little bit about yourself, what you're doing, and all of this beautiful magic that you get to do in your world.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to talk about something that occupies a wordless space. So I just want to acknowledge that nonverbal space that we live in and feel into every day in our lives can be hard to put words to. And so I really want to appreciate your podcast for bringing words and language to that sacred quiet space that lives under the words. So, um, I have been grateful to have a career that has been about supporting all different kinds of people in all different ages and stages of life. Um, and I think the question feels kind of big because of all the different opportunities that I've felt blessed to be able to help people, whether it was children and adolescents at a children's hospital, or whether it's professional women whom I'm primarily serving now. The through line in all of the people I've had the opportunity to support has been giving them opportunities and experiences to express their emotions through their body, through movement. As a dance movement therapist, as a somatic psychotherapist, the body as that bridge between what is where there are no words and then where we create words. I feel like movement is that place where people can do a lot of transformational growth, especially when dealing with things like grief, loss. Trauma has been a huge part of supporting people as well. So I think in this moment, I just noticed there's a lot of places my brain wants to take me. And I may need your help in kind of landing in one place.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing about like all of the different modalities that you bring into people's life to really help them, like you mentioned, where like there's no necessarily like words, like because it lives inside of the body somewhere. And so just like decoding that, or maybe not even like decoding, but just really
Mhm.
going into it and feeling it and moving through it and whatever else, that it would be beneficial for these people. And I just feel like that's so like in line with what like everything that we're seeing in the world right now, because there's like so much things that like people say, but we can't necessarily like say everything, and we don't even have necessarily like the language to say or
Mm.
acknowledge how we feel. And so I feel like that's so needed right now, and maybe more than ever, because it's just like silent killers inside of us, just like
Mm.
not knowing what to do with them. We kind of know it's there, but like ignoring it and not really like wanting to have anything to do with that because that's negative. And like that whole um what's the word, like fake positivity or something, I don't remember
Mm.
how it's called, but like the, oh no, I just have to be like positive and everything will be fine, but like you're just repressing everything inside because it's like you're not allowing them to be expressed in whichever way they need to be expressed. And so I don't know, I just feel like that's really beautiful what you're bringing into this world to help people with. And yeah, I mean, if you would like to maybe talk a little bit more about like maybe an example or like something a little more
Yes,
specific or tangible, like
yes.
what you're doing with your clients that is really helping them shift from feeling maybe like having those stuck energies or emotions or whatever it's there just like eating them from like inside and to like having some sort of an expression or like moving through something and then just, like going on the other side. And
Thank you for asking me to give you some specific examples of ways that this work, whatever that this could be. So I'll start with group work examples because groups are such a powerful space to transform emotion in. And that's why my business name became Communitas Movement. It's that spirit of connection that happens when a group of people get together to undergo some kind of transformation or change. So, most recently, I had a wonderful co facilitator, and we offered professional women a workshop called Leadership Moves. So, it's adding movement into this process of what is leadership? So many women relate to it, don't relate to it, want it, don't want it. And so putting those questions, challenges, emotions into movement provides everyone involved for a new perspective. So I believe everyone in life is a dancer. I believe everyone in life is a choreographer. And so my favorite thing to do that lights me up is to have a group of people and invite them to choreograph a piece about, in this case, that leadership block. And it's intimidating for people at first because it's not a normal activity, but it takes 5 minutes. It's not like it's a huge time commitment. We're not creating a piece that's going to be performed and that we need to put in 1,000 hours of rehearsal. It's express an experience that you're having without words. Take the words out, and everyone has this new perspective from participating to give feedback to that person, from that person getting to witness what they're internally experiencing and having it outside of themselves. I did this even with children and adolescents on the psychiatric units that I would work on so that they could have another way to express anxiety, anger. It's hard to talk about things that are physiologically wired. Emotions are physiological. So let's express them through movement and then find the words through being in relationship with that group and a peer going, oh man, that felt really sad. And all of a sudden, empathy is welcoming that otherwise kind of standoffish person to go, oh, they get it. Wow. So whether it's children or grown professional adults, it's a phrase that I like to use, just add movement, to give you a completely different perspective on something that's hard to put into words anyway, but through moving together, there is this group transformation that happens, and everyone is supporting each other in moving through that difficult feeling. So you tell me if that made any sense, but those are a couple of examples where it's in the professional space, where it's in, the mental health space with group work. I can go into individual work, but you tell me how that made sense to you.
yeah, wow. I mean, that sounds amazing. Um, and it really intimidating, like going in like these edges of like, ooh, like I don't want to do that because I don't want to put
Yeah,
myself out there. I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be, because let's just be invisible with the rest
yeah.
of like my emotions and everything that's uncomfortable, right?
You almost became the wall there.
Thank you for acknowledging my but yeah, I mean, and I just find this is so interesting and so like obvious. Like, why don't everyone do something like that? Because it is so much easier when you're guided in the right direction, obviously, to use the body to go with what it feels, however it wants to move, and then have that reflection back from the group of like, ooh, I felt that, or I saw this, or and it's just like, oh, so yeah, it really feels like that's how I'm feeling. And so it helps, get those words in. And so like that awareness become easier, right? And just like with that, and also like we just the fact that community and like group setting is amplifying so much, beautiful energy. And I just really, really love that work that you're doing. I mean, that's amazing. Wow.
That's definitely a happy place. And one of the group invitations that was more regularly offered um, a few years ago before COVID was to go through group grief rituals. Um, and I'd like to bring that back this winter to give people that group space to have it be very normal to have grief because there's so much grief that we don't get to acknowledge because it isn't as obvious or explicit as my spouse dying, um, which, is horrible to go through a loss of a loved one, a loss of a pet. And those are very obvious. But even in losing loved ones, there often is this rushed expectation, I feel, that exists within society to move on, or at least, keep your grief to yourself. Will let you be messy for a couple of weeks, but then, keep that somewhere else and come back to work and function as normal. Um, so those obvious losses are already challenging enough, but then we have all of these other little losses, hidden losses that come through aging or moving through school and ending school or moving towns or COVID was a huge series of losses for people in all different ways. And now we're done with it. So, okay. But what about all of those little hidden losses that were very impactful to all ages of people? Um, so having a space that just normalizes, we're all experiencing some level of grief all the time.
Yeah.
And how can we have a safe, kind space that allows it to be there as much as it is?
Yeah. I love that. Like normalizing that it can be there. It often is, and like just yeah, acknowledging it and not repressing it or like rushing, like you said, through something and not really processing it, because it's like even if it's not like you said, like a bigger loss, it's still the process still needs to happen. And so just having that beautiful container where like there's other people in situation that could be similar or not, but just knowing that you're not alone, feeling like that inside that you don't really know how to process either. I mean, it's not like maybe some people have, but it's not like we were born and it's just like, yeah, you know how to process your feelings now. We don't even know like what the feelings are like, and if we weren't modeled to process our feelings, like if I take myself for example, I mean, my parents didn't really show that to me. It was more like, I don't really know how to handle my emotions, and I'm going to project that on you. And you need to be like the bigger person and not make a fuss about anything. And so, like that, it won't affect me or whatever. Right. I feel like that's a lot of people were brought up like that. And that's just
Well, yes.
reality, unfortunately.
And, and as you say that, I'm struck by this thought of like that. It never worked, but now it really doesn't work because we are inundated with all sorts of catastrophic news all day long if we choose to plug into any of those um, outlets that come through television, media, social media, like all of those different places where people are putting information. So there's just this constant barrage of tragedy. And so even if it's not your community being impacted directly by a natural disaster, by any number of horrible things, um, I feel like there's a backlog of just being human and having empathy and going, oh my God, that's really sad. But then what do you do with that? That's sad that all of those people experience that. But what do I do with this? So I just feel like given that we have so many more intense emotions coming at us every day, we need more consistent outlets for dealing with that buildup and backlog of emotion.
Yeah. And just feeling safe to do so, because like if we're constantly like you said like bombarded with things left and right and whatever,
Mm-hmm.
like how are we ever going to be like, oh, now I can process things and whoo, that's good. No, it's just like, "Ugh, I'm just gonna backlog this somewhere else and trying to push it, you know, and it's not going to help anyone. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hmm. And that's, I mean, that's group work. A lot of people um, don't feel comfortable being a part of a group. And so I also do a lot of one-on-one work. And that looks a lot different when there aren't additional bodies being able to support that expressed piece. And
Mhm.
so then it's a lot more personal focus on the relationship that is being fostered with your body, your emotions, your overall energy. And that looks and feels different, right? Because then that one-on-one work is very um well, it's all a very sacred space, but obviously having the attention all on one is going to yield a different sort of outcome than being a part of a group. And so I think people just have different preferences of how they participate and engage in that kind of transformational work for themselves.
And would you say people have like work on themselves like in a deeper way when they're one to one, or it's really different? It's like
It's
not going to be
really
working.
different.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think people can have a profound experience being a part of a group because they've never allowed themselves to be a part of a group in that way that they never would have accessed in one-on-one work and vice versa. I think it really depends on what that particular aspect of self that needs support is. You know, is it feeling like one belongs and is a part of and accepted, cared for in a group, or just to have like that undivided attention and support and be really seen and really held just one-on-one. I mean, I think there's so many different ways that breaks down.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Beautiful. Thank you. And
Mm.
I would like to ask you, how does this work impact you, like personally? Like either when you're working with people, like what does it do to you? And also like you've done that work, like or constantly, like still working on yourself through those modalities and tools, and like what does that bring to you too, if you'd like to go there.
Yeah, I think it's such an honor to hold that intention for a group, and that feels very deeply held as a purpose of um I don't know, that it's like a very happy place inside to be trusted enough to hold space for a group and to invite people to try something different and to really honor it as this sacred way of being together. That feels so exciting. And to witness what people express is so beautiful. It's so energizing. And that is its own gift. And one on one is powerful because it's all energy working and moving and transforming together. So, again, it's such an honor to, I feel the seriousness of it. Like it's very, I take it very seriously. So, it's that deep love of feeling like that is something I want to offer and
Mm,
give to people.
beautiful. Yeah. And like the other part of the question, maybe I should have asked that in like two questions separately, but
Mm.
what
Mhm.
does the work like that you practice for yourself does to
Oh.
you? Yeah, please. Thank you.
So I think it's important to practice anything that we teach or offer. Um, and so for me, movement is a very private, uh, again, sacred space that is um, connecting with that soul level. Um, like dance can be fun, and I loved going out dancing, but the start of my dance was actually through sacred dance. And so it is that way to connect with whatever that is, pick a word, divine, higher power. Um, so movement is a really powerful practice. Receiving body work, energy work, um, is powerful. Like I experience everything I give. Some things I can give myself, some things I get to go to other people. But I'm always um, grateful when I can continue my own process and journey in similar ways that I offer.
Beautiful. I love that.
Mm.
Yeah. I just feel it's so important to be able to not only like for relevancy, but just the fact that it is helping. So why wouldn't we use it on ourselves? And like why wouldn't we benefit from all of the great things that can come from using those tools, and just being in relationship with, like, I don't know if you've mentioned that now, like on this call, or maybe like before we started recording, but like that relationship with ourselves and with something bigger than us. And yeah, I just feel like that's such a beautiful move. And like when you talked about like everybody is a dancer and everyone is a choreographer. Sorry for, but I just feel like that's like a beautiful analogy of like life itself, because I feel like we're dancing through life and we're
Mhm.
also like choreographing, creating
Mhm.
it at the same
Mhm.
time, like, or
Yeah.
co-creating it depending on like whatever you believe in. But and so I just feel like that's like being in movement is really what is helping people move through things. Because if we're
Yes.
stagnating, if we're not like making like taking a step, or if we're not, we're always like trying to stay put because it's safe, because of our like protectors mechanisms and all of that, like our like the reptilian brain, fight or flight. It's just like, no, 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 we're gonna
Hmm.
stay safe here. But like, I just thought about like stagnant water. Stagnant water is basically dead. And if you take water from a source that is continuously like moving, like a river or something, it's full of a lot of good
Hmm.
things like minerals and all of the, I don't know what else there's like I don't claim I know what's in water, but and it's like that aliveness that
Yeah.
is brought with that type of water that will feed your cells, that will, help you grow, or like regenerate, or I don't know how to
Yes.
whatever else. But I feel like that's the same thing when we stop moving and we just
Hmm.
keep things where they are, or like trying to not look at them, then we're not advancing in life, we're not growing, we're not evolving, we're not getting
Yes.
the next step or feeling better, because we're just staying there trying to
Hmm.
think that, oh, if I don't think about it then I don't feel it, but it's always there, right? So like once we start to have like that movement, whether it's like physical movement or however else, like movement can be like an energy, and then things start to move. I don't have any other words, but
Yeah. I mean, so many things came up listening to you just now, and I think I'll try to translate um, some of those images I was having as you were talking. So, one of my areas of passion and focus right now is supporting professional women in developing their leadership. And it can be a very dry topic or a boring word or just a lot of assumptions held within that concept. But to your point of movement, it's also creativity that is a key aspect in difference, right? That it's not just making sure you run to be strong, it's expressive movement. It's allowing creativity to be of service to this goal over here that, professionally, I think our lives can feel um, dominated by more boring qualities. And I know I already used that word, but I think if we can breathe more life and flow, this metaphor that you were using our creativity, bringing more of ourselves into the process, we're going to yield a more fulfilling result
yeah.
that isn't just about being action based and goal based.
Mhm.
Yes, stay in action, keep moving forward, but with all of yourself, right? A lot of times our professional identity can lack heart and soul. But it is okay. I believe it's important for more of us to bring our heart and soul into workspaces and to shift the dynamics that aren't working within leadership and teams so that there can be more of a community aspect or there can be more of a purposeful objective where all voices are considered and collaboration and creativity are honored um, as much as some of the older concepts that are becoming a bit outdated, that there's only one leader. No, everybody's a leader, just like everybody's a dancer. We're all right, and everybody's a choreographer. Everybody knows how to contribute their ideas to build something. So that was one of the thoughts that came through what you were sharing.
Beautiful. And yeah, thank you so much for like having that more specific, not outcome, but yeah, just like having that tying in with creativity and like really what's in us, and not just moving for the sake of moving, or like doing actions because like, oh, I'm having this goal and like blah, 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 like it's the linear way and blah blah blah. Yeah. And I feel like you have maybe touched a little bit more on like what I was thinking, that that's what I was saying, but I was not like saying it. Um, but yeah, I feel like that's very important to be connected with that true intention inside of us, which wants to create through
Mm-hmm.
us. And so, like,
Mm-hmm.
by following that, it's not just doing any action. It's really doing actions that are feeling more aligned and more, you know,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
because
Thank you.
that's what you were describing that with the river, because to bring nature into what you were sharing is to me the ultimate creativity,
Mm.
and the ultimate embodiment of wholeness. So just by calling in the river, you were bringing all of that together. And that image of infusing the river into corporate experiences is what I was seeing from your words. Um, hmm, One of the frameworks that I love is high performance coaching, which I got certified in several years ago. And I see that framework and that system, which is brilliant. It's well researched, well documented. Um, but even with this, when I work individually with people, it's about adding movement to these high performance concepts that have become pretty well known, concepts like clarity, concepts like courage, all of these sort of archetypal ideas that we want to call forward. To me, if we add movement and we add expression and choreography to that concept, it's not just intellectual. And then we're literally discovering, oh, how do I want to move differently through my life with courage, leading? Because that's going to be a very different way of literally physically moving courageously or moving with clarity. It's very different than just going, oh, yeah, I want to be more clear. I want to be like, it's not just a concept. And so I love bringing those beautiful frameworks that are very much um, beautifully explored in high performance coaching, but adding on the movement to me is what awakens even more creativity, awakens even more embodiment, which is to say that ability to feel in your blood and bones what you're really wanting to call in to your
Mhm.
life.
Wow. Yeah. That just like feels so powerful. And yeah, I just love that you do that for
Mm-hmm.
people, because like you said, it's not every, oh, I don't know if you said that, but I feel like that's that's a, even if it's not said, it's, I feel it's in the energy anyway. Like it's not everyone who wants to start a business, who wants to be like their own boss or whatever. And so it's important to have beautiful tools like that to get people into alignment, even if they work for someone else, because then it can change like how these environments feel or work or are, and then you just add a little bit more purpose into everything that people do, because we need, people that work at the government or whatever, like,
Yes,
like it's needed to have the life that we have right now. And so, like, why not have these beautiful tools to help people get in touch with their inner selves and really like connect with that body aspect also, because I'm pretty sure you've read that book. I haven't, but just like the title, like the body keeps the score, it's
Mhm.
like obvious of everything that happens gets stored if we don't process it like through some kind of movement, whether it's like energetically or emotionally or physically and all of that. And so yeah, I just feel it's just like helping these types of environment that are maybe like less friendly or less,
Exactly. It was so
to
interesting when
become,
you
yeah.
say that. Yeah, I just am jumping in because you're reminding me of marketing class I took earlier this year, right? Because that is something I'm not naturally educated and experienced with, as evidenced by um, the challenges I have with marketing. And so all along these 11 and a half years of having my business, I've struggled to identify, who do I help? Well, anyone can benefit from being in their body. But it was interesting. I thought, I work with artists and creatives because that's what I thought. But when I actually reflected on these years that I've had my studio space, it was like, oh my goodness, the women who've stayed and really committed and grown and transformed their lives have been women in the engineering industry, in the tech industry. So, women in STEM fields, physicians, and other healthcare professionals who really, in my opinion, need that counterbalance of, from those systems that tend to have more masculine energies within the setup of that culture and system. And then to bring in creativity and movement, this is more of that feminine quality. If we're just talking about energies, right? You're balancing the feminine and the masculine so that there isn't such a separation and a division. And they're really the closet creatives. They're super artistic and creative, but may just do it as a hobby or have forgotten that they enjoy doing these different things. So that was a really powerful recognition because I wasn't tracking that. Um, but then it's hard to um, find the right messaging to support people who are in these different spaces. Women in STEM fields, like to advertise what is it that is really needed, right? Because some of the surveys I took of these women, right, is just recognizing that they deal with a high level of stress, a high level of burnout, a high level of balancing work and life. Um, right? They've been high performers and high achievers. And how do you support people with that counterbalance? And in the end, I mean, professional women of any industry who are high achieving and high performing are dealing with burnout and really need that counterbalance of support. If you're going to push yourself and be passionate about what you love, you get to be supported and held and cared for along the way.
I love that. Yeah, beautiful. And also like the image that I saw when you were talking was there's a lot of head going on, like head energy in these types of environment where why not go like work with the heart, with the womb, with like all of these like sacred energy centers where like creativity like flows, and it's just like asking you to, live somewhere to be
Mm.
expressed, like you mentioned earlier. And so I really, really love what you're doing. And I know that is really needed. And so yeah,
Mm,
I just wish for people listening here, and just like putting that energy out for
mm,
people to that really need that type of work to find you and to just be relieved of
mm,
that high pressure feeling and like not really know how to move through it, and to just have, someone like you who can
mm.
hold them and just guide them through it, and then voila. Right?
Voila!
Voila.
May we all have more voila.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, because it really can be like that. Like transformation can be just
Yeah.
because we say so, and it is.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
powerful.
Mm, thank you. Thank you so
Mm.
much. I would
Thanks
like
for offering the conversation.
well, I mean, I just feel like even without knowing what you were doing, I just felt like I knew it was important and special. So I just felt really called to invite you. And so I'm really happy I did. So how does, or where would people find you? And like, do you have any offers at the moment that people can sign up to, or like have any links or anything like that?
Yes, we can include them in the show notes. Instagram is a place, YouTube is a place that is inconsistent, but I think we'll put in the notes a way to fill out a contact form. In the end, I think that's the best way for us to get together is through a connection call to see if you're interested in a group experience or in a one-on-one experience. Now, I do have a embodied leadership group coaching space starting October 1st for professional women, and that's all virtual, which can be helpful for people in different spaces and places. But I also offer monthly in person workshops, and I do one on one work, and I travel to do group and individual work. I am based in Colorado in the US. And so there's a lot of different ways to access this kind of work. And I hope more groups, whether that a group can be 3 people, and I love doing that small group work as much as 20 people. Um, so we'll attach a link for someone to fill out if that works. Does that
Yeah.
work technologically? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think it will be clickable on Instagram, but I mean, the link will be there, and I'll put it in the
Perfect.
YouTube video as well. And I think that's clickable. And so
Perfect. We'll figure it out on our ends.
exactly. Thank you so, so, so
Thank
much.
you so
I'm
much.
just so honored to have you as a friend and to, yeah,
I feel
share
very lucky.
whatever you're doing, because I feel like it's really important and needed. And so thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your big heart energy. I think anytime someone's in business offering a service, it can feel very isolating and alone and can create questions and doubt around, am I doing anything that's needed? And so that kind of shadow part of having a business really feels nurtured and cared for coming into your space with your positive energy. So thank you for that.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone who's watching this episode, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.